The following contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network. This week on the Marc and Lowell Show.
How many rolls do you have in the house right now? Approximately.
Honestly, no more really than usual.
68.
Maybe a little bit more than usual, but we are usually pretty well stocked with toilet paper.
Okay.
But the thing about toilet paper is, I know it's disgusting to talk about this, but you really don't need it.
No, you don't have to.
You could get in the shower if
And rinse.
if you have a handheld and you can deal with it. You know, like if push came to shove.
Sure.
You know what I'm
Pardon
saying?
the pun, champ.
Right.
Hello, boys. Mark.
I just pooped and it smells fabulous.
Lowell. Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one.
It's the Marc and Lowell Show,
It was a show just for me and you, much like this podcast.
where two guys bring you stories and opinions
Our listeners will not laugh.
But if we laugh, then people will laugh.
built on 30 years of friendship.
You were singing operatically.
Yeah, while you were taking the camera.
And I was zooming in.
zooming in on my crotch.
Yes.
Along with a regular cast of pals to help them remember it all.
Camp is the best.
Get your shit together.
All right, so back to your swamp ass.
Say ho.
Now, here's Marc and Lowell.
Hello and welcome, everybody, to the Marc and Lowell Show. I am your host, Marc Ronick, and here with me, as always, my co-host, Lowell Melser. Hello, Lowell. Oh, I'm glad we're Skyping this show.
Yeah, but you can still get it through the headphones.
Oh, really? It travels through Fios.
Yes, exactly. I gotta tell you, with this corona, you know how I had the flu?
Yes.
I'm wondering now if I had corona.
I've been wondering that too, actually, because your whole family had it, and you guys all had the exact symptoms.
Yeah, the exact symptoms of corona.
Didn't you get tested, though, for flu A or something?
I got tested, and it was inconclusive for me. The only one, we had Reed tested, and he tested positive for flu A.
Okay.
So that's why it leads me to believe that we did have the flu, but,
Right.
you know, the symptoms are awfully similar. Awfully similar.
Yep, they are indeed. Hey, let's welcome in our good friend. It's Jonah Berger. Hello, Jonah.
Say,
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
say, brothers, what's happening?
In snowy Colorado today, isn't it?
Snowy Denver all day long. We're at 4
Did you
inches.
get like a foot? Oh, okay, yeah. I saw like in Jackson Hole they were getting like a foot. Yeah.
I stuck my peen in the snow and it was still 4 inches out, so I know we have 4 inches on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we are doing this episode because, you know, we had said there was this hiatus in the works and we were kind of in it. But, you know, where this whole coronavirus thing is going on, for some of us in this room, quote unquote, there's not a lot going on. So we figured, what the heck, let's entertain each other and hopefully entertain some listeners while we're at it.
Yeah, it's been quite a thing.
I am working. I'm just throwing it out there. I am working.
As am I from home. It's just from home working. That's all. But Lowell,
Yeah, I have to be out and about in this shit.
Our
So
man
I'm
on the
definitely
street.
going to get sick.
but you've been very cautious. I've seen on social media how you've been handling this whole thing as you're out there in the field reporting on all this madness.
Yeah, we've had to, we set up mic stands to interview people and stand far away from them. We've been like, but it's tough because like everything's closed. We used to go to like restaurants to edit and stuff like that, and they're like all closed. Luckily, we found a Holiday Inn Express yesterday that their lobby was open and they let us edit in there. So we've had to get creative. But today, since we did the story close to my house, we just came back to my house and edited here.
Oh, that's good.
Lowell, are you an essential employee? Are you considered an essential?
Yeah, right now, but they're trying to get creative in ways to, for us to do our stories and stuff. So we can do a lot of Skype interviews and things like that to try and limit our exposure to the elements. But, if they lock down Maryland, which they might, who knows, then it's going to get even more interesting. They gave us this app for our phone that will let us go live through another app at the station. It's called TVU.
Okay.
And it will let us do like live shots from our house if we
Wow.
wanted to. So That could be interesting.
Dude, we watch the Today Show every day, and every day there's one more person not live and reporting from home because they're all getting like symptoms. None of them have tested positive yet, but like Al Roker started from home, and then Savannah was home, and now Hoda's just sitting there by herself, and like everyone she goes to for reporting is from their basement. Literally.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I know it is. It's weird.
What's been the most challenging thing for you, Lowell, as a news reporter dealing with all this? Because like you said, you've got all these new rules. What's been the most challenging thing?
Just being out and about in it. I would rather not.
Right. Well, sure.
I would rather be home. That's the most stressful part. Yeah. So, as this goes on, I mean, I feel like we've been spending less and less time out, but still out.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you're one of just a few friends. It's funny because you are out there kind of in the thick of it, reporting on this day in and day out now. Yet of all my friends, I think you are the least freaked out by this whole thing. You would think that with it all in your face constantly, you would probably be the most freaked.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I'm just trying to keep busy so I don't freak.
Well, and that's why he's not freaked, is that he's out living life.
True.
Like, we're all sitting at home not knowing what the hell's going on, so it's freakier.
My whole thing is, like, I would just, whatever you watch, just watch, like, Netflix and stuff. I wouldn't even really, get, like, maybe 1 or 2 updates a day and then do your thing.
That's what I try to do. That's definitely what I try. I mean, I have genuinely been busy with a lot of work stuff, including, Lowell, your sister's podcast, which is coming out on March 24th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm producing her podcast. She's got a lot of big name guests and a lot of cool guests, but she's got Kaylee Cuoco, who, even though I'm technically Jamie's producer, still haven't been introduced to Kaylee Cuoco.
Don't feel bad, neither have I.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Chelsea Handler is another guest she's got on there, and she's got a whole bunch more, and they're doing a kick-ass job. So it's called The Makedown, if anybody's interested. I'm sure people are looking for things to do, so
right,
that'll be out there too. But yeah, so it's been busy here for sure. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about is this whole social distancing thing. And by the way, we're not going to shame Lowell because Lowell has no choice. He's doing the news. He's covering stuff. He's got to be out there when work asks him to be. So we can't give him too much crap. But I'm noticing a lot of people just not really taking it seriously. I mean, it's been a week now where I think a lot of people started to take it seriously. But, at this point, I just feel like there are still people out there. Like I see people on the fields playing soccer.
Well, I mean, if they're staying far apart, but
they're not.
I thought you were talking more about like what's going on or what was going on for spring break.
Florida,
and
exactly.
Florida and all that.
See, I haven't seen a lot of that yet.
Their beaches are full of college kids, and not to sound old, but like, come on, man. Like, close the beaches. That's just Florida's fault.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they did today. I think the governor, but like, even like the mayor of like Miami was... We're open for business.
Bring us
and
your
we're
money.
having a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like elderly person central in Florida, and they're just not giving a shit about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I feel like people aren't really... There are a lot of people out there that just aren't taking it serious enough. I mean, I think it's because everybody thinks, well, it's just the flu, and I can get the flu, and I'll deal with it. I'm not a high risk, but... I think people aren't connecting with it's who you're going to affect besides you.
Right.
It felt like that for a few days, and the only devil's advocate I would play is that it's hard to wrap your head around it. Like, I feel like our government is just starting to take it really, really seriously. There's been like a lot of mixed messages, so I don't think everyone knows how serious to take it. I do think that this whole lockdown vibe is what they ought to do. Like, if we're going to do it half-assed, what's the point? Let's lock it down, spend a few weeks completely isolated, and hopefully ebb the flow,
Yeah, that's what and that's what they're saying too, that to take these 2 to 4 weeks of just sitting and doing nothing would really help in controlling it and keeping the hospitals from getting overflowed and all that stuff. And I mean, it sucks, but in the long run, it'll be better, because if they didn't do it, it would be like catastrophic.
Right.
I did go yesterday. I went to the grocery store by myself to grab a few things that we needed, and it was weird, man. It was like exactly what Lowell was saying. Like, it wasn't crowded at all. It was quite isolating. And there were like maybe 10 other people in the store, and we were all like looking at each other like, we're really not supposed to be around each other, and we kind of are, and this is weird. Like, it had such a weird vibe being in the store yesterday. I hadn't been in my car in 4 days.
Right.
It was so weird, man.
The governor here in Maryland's doing like an amazing job.
I have to agree.
Blown away. He is just killing it.
Yeah.
He's absolutely killing it. And I mean, he's made it pretty clear that he's not going to shut down the grocery stores and the gas stations. But if it ever came to that, I think, you'd see people really freaking out.
Yeah, you would. Are you guys pretty well? I guess, Jonah, you weren't super stocked since you were out doing some catching up with your groceries. But, Lowell, were you guys pretty stocked?
Yeah, Allie's been keeping up on it. She's been keeping us pretty stocked. Like our fridge in the basement is completely full. And our fridge upstairs is like completely full too. So she's been and lots of alcohol.
How many rolls of toilet paper do y'all have?
Well, I have to tell you, it's funny about the toilet paper. So this was a couple weeks ago. I said to Allie when the very first case in the U.S. came up, it was like the very first one. And I said to her, it might not be a bad idea for you to go to Walmart and get a couple extra packs of toilet paper and some water.
Mm-hmm.
And she bought a bunch back then.
Right.
And then sure as shit, no pun intended, a couple weeks later now, it's like you can't find any of that stuff in the store.
I know.
And the only reason I told her to get the toilet paper was because I said people are going to freak and they're going to buy toilet paper. I'm telling you.
Why anyone would trust Americans to be civic-minded and not buy all they can is beyond me, and why stores weren't on a national level. Like, there should have been a limit to how much toilet paper you could buy. Like, you don't need more than what you need.
But just like everything else, this is a pandemic, and one that it's been 100+ years since anything like this has happened. So nobody's prepared for it. Nobody knows how to handle it. And especially when things started to really hit the fan, which I classify as the time when, what's his name? The NBA player, the first one was announced. That's when kind of the red alert began, right?
Oh, as we're talking right now, did you hear who just got it?
No. Now we're recording on Thursday evening.
Yeah.
So
Sean Payton.
Oh, really?
The Saints head coach, yeah.
So that's one of the first that I've heard of the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's just it, is nobody knew what to do at that point. Even at that point when that NBA announcement happened, that was when I said, all right, I'm going to go get some stuff.
Right, and they were still having like games and the NCAA tournament. They were like, well, we're just going to play it with no people in the stands.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the problem is that nobody knew how bad it really was, and nobody knew how anybody would react. I mean, this is
not
an
the problem.
unprecedented thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, the problem is not that no one knew how to react. The problem is that as soon as people don't know how to react, they overreact.
Well, sure.
As opposed to using your wits and saying, you know what? Worst case scenario, I better get 2 packs of toilet paper instead of 1. We have 20 rolls here. I haven't bought any because there hasn't been any on the shelves. Yeah. But we had 19 rolls of toilet paper in the house the other day, and we're like, we're fine. We're not going to crap more,
Right.
And but everyone I know, you included, went out and bought as much as you possibly could, and that kind of mindedness is the problem.
Well, I also have a family of 5, and 3 of them are teenagers that enjoy eating a lot. So we had to stock up. We also have people in this house that have digestive issues.
No question. Amy deserves twice her normal allotment. That being said, how many rolls do you have in the house right now? Approximately.
Honestly, no more really than usual.
68.
Maybe a little bit more than usual, but we are usually pretty well stocked with toilet paper.
Okay.
But the thing about toilet paper is, I know it's disgusting to talk about this, but you really don't need it.
No, you don't have to.
You could get in the shower if
rinse.
if you have a handheld and you can deal with it. Like if push came to shove.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Pardon the pun, champ.
Right.
Well, and I reminded Amy, we still have the bidet attachment that Dan got us.
Oh, so there you go.
What the hell do you
using
need?
Yeah, they said that bidet sales went through the roof.
That's such a smart idea.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I went to get hand sanitizer like 2 weeks ago now, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, when it was just starting to feel like this could be a bigger deal.
Mm-hmm.
The shelves were empty, except for like the tiny little bottles you keep in your purse or whatever. And so I bought 2 of those, 3 of those. Then on my ride home, I'm like, maybe there's a way to make your own. I look it up, and it's like aloe and hand and rubbing alcohol. So I go back to the store, I buy 2 bottles of aloe, and I was like, where's your rubbing alcohol? And they're like, aisle 12, and it was completely gone.
Yeah.
Went home, got online. No rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Anywhere.
A lot of people were trying to make their own for a little while there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did a story today about the distilleries in Maryland are starting to make hand sanitizer.
Yep.
So there's a recipe on the World Health Organization's website on how to make it. And actually, you can buy ethanol and glycerin and hydrogen peroxide, and you can make your own. Yeah.
That's cool.
And glycerin, there's plenty of glycerin on Amazon. I looked.
Yeah, that's cool. But, Jonah, there are cool things that are going on that people are doing while we're all trapped in our houses, or at least supposed to be. I love how there are a lot of musicians, celebrity musicians, that are streaming live and doing concerts for people.
John Legend.
Yeah, John Legend. I think Bono did something I saw, speaking of our friend Dan, I saw his hero, David Foster. You guys will remember that's the You're the Best when he was screaming out in the crowd.
Yeah, he was, Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam.
But yeah, I saw those kinds of things are cool. I think, and then again, speaking of Dan, wow, Dan's getting a lot of mentions today. He sent me a link to this plugin you can install on Chrome. It's called Netflix Party, and you can actually stream Netflix live and watch with your friends if they have a Netflix account. So, for example, if we all wanted to watch, say, Back to the Future 3, I know Netflix has that right now. If we wanted to all watch that and, say, watch with our listeners, I could set that up, and there would be a chat room, and we would all watch on our computers together through the whole movie. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, we might actually have to do that at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you have a 1-year-old, then you're too busy to watch Netflix.
It's funny you mentioned that. The whole school thing's been a bug out.
Yeah,
I feel so bad for those people because I'm not one of them. We have our kid home anyway, but ooh, man.
Well, so Sloan's daycare is one of the designated first responder daycares. So it's still open. So we're able to bring Sloan there, but it's like really bare bones. There's not much going on there. There's like a limited amount of kids that are there. And, since I'm an essential employee, we can bring Sloan.
Right.
She's been going there, so that's been good. And she has no idea what's going on.
Right.
But Reed's been home, and, he's been asking more questions. But we have, the homeschooling packet and the stuff on the computer. But, today, I know shit's going to hit the fan soon because they sent a survey to see if you had a computer or tablet. Mm-hmm. And if you have internet in your home.
Right.
So I know it's coming. I know they're going to... I don't know if they're going to cancel the rest of the year. They might.
I think they might.
Will.
But I think they're going to do classes online for the rest of the semester, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's something like that's happening. I don't think we're going back to normal before the end of the school year.
No.
Unless maybe they go back in the middle of May or something. I feel like this could...
preempt the summer.
Or are they going to go to class in the summer? I have no idea. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, can you guys imagine for a second us? I mean, we all went to school together, more or less. So can you imagine if we were in this situation back then?
Well, and not only not going to school, but not going to school and not being able to hang out.
And isn't Amy's daughter, Haley, isn't she a senior?
She's a senior, and she's going to University of Maryland.
Can you imagine this is your senior year?
I know.
And the last 4 months
Would
get
suck.
canceled?
Well, and your graduation.
And your graduation could get canceled. Yeah.
And I got news for you, buddy. I wouldn't be surprised if come the start of next school year, we're not ready yet to start school.
I don't know. If you look at how long it took in China, they started getting it in December.
Yeah.
And now it is March. So what's that? 3 months?
3 months. 3.5 months.
The past 2 days, they've had 0 cases.
Wow.
So 3 months.
If you take it seriously, then it shouldn't take more than 3 or 4 months to get on top of it.
I could see maybe a delayed start out of caution. Maybe they start end of September, middle September. But I would think by next school year, this should be under control.
Under control.
I mean, I would hope by July it's under control.
Well, that's actually where I wanted to go. I wanted to see what your predictions were. So that was the first one, is how long you think it's going to go. What do you think about, though, things like the upcoming election? Now, I don't want to get political, guys.
Right.
But I'm just saying there is a big election coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're going to be ready to actually, what happens if we're not?
In November?
I was going to say, it depends how things go. Like, it depends. If things go in a light that make Trump look good, he's going to get reelected. If it's a complete fumble, he's not going to get reelected. I think that's the way it's going to turn out.
Right, but I'm even wondering, are we going to be able to have elections?
No, they will. They'll do it.
Yes.
At worst case, they'll do it through absentee. They'll do it through the mail. That'll be the
Correct.
worst case scenario.
Correct.
True.
Because that's how they're doing the primary here in Maryland, because they're supposed to have it, and I think they're doing mail-in.
As they should. Like, why
Yeah.
we don't do mail-in voting anymore. Like, it's the modern age, man.
Yeah.
Online and mail-in. That's all that it should take to vote. Make it easy.
Yeah.
And do you guys think, I'm wondering, does this change us just as a society in general? Like, or do we just, in like a year from now, nobody's even thinking coronavirus anymore?
I think more on the lines of that because, and I'll give you an example. If you remember how horrible and scary it was right after 9/11, and you felt like we're never going to be the same,
Right.
never going to be, we're going to be living in fear all the time. And then like, I would say even like a year later, it's like people just like,
all of a sudden they
didn't
just
even, and then they went back to bickering and fighting and arguing, and everyone went back
True.
to being an asshole.
And that will do it for thee.
But I feel like, no, this is definitely a moment in history for sure.
Oh, well, yeah.
We'll be like, oh, remember the coronavirus?
Yeah, I mean, again, and that's the other thing, because the economy obviously is being super affected by it, and the question then is when does it bounce back? Because we know it's got to bounce back once this thing blows over.
Oh, it will.
It's not about will it bounce back. It will. It's about the detriment that happens from this complete lag in active economy. That's what needs time to rebound.
Right, and I mean, and it sounds like they're trying to compensate people as best they can. I mean, I know the company that owns us actually says they're doing well in this because their subscription-based products for news are through the roof.
Interesting.
They said a thing like if you get sick from coronavirus, they will pay you for, 7 months before you have to dip into your like long-term disability.
Wow.
Stuff like that. And just, they're trying to put some things
That's
in place.
unusual, though. I've heard several
Because they're
people,
doing well, that's why.
Right. I've heard several people I know who are out of jobs, literally instantly out of work. And like a few of them are making part of their salary. Some of them are making not one penny of their salary and are being laid off temporarily.
Right.
But I honestly, this is, Megan and I have been talking a ton. Like she's a nurse, so she's working full time. I work from home now, so I'm working full time. And we are blessed in that regard. And so we've been looking for ways to donate to either people we know.
Sure.
A couple people we've given gift cards to for groceries, like if they're out of work. We donated to the local food bank, to this kids organization. Like anyone who's okay should be helping out people who aren't.
Yeah.
Like the NBA players, man.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if you saw this thing that's getting a humongous amount of backlash right now.
What's that?
That video that all the celebrities put out singing Imagine by John Lennon.
I didn't see that.
Oh my
I haven't
God.
either.
Just look it up.
Okay.
It's like a bunch of celebrities singing Imagine.
Yeah.
It's getting panned because everyone's like, yeah, that's great. That's just what we need right now.
Hey.
A bunch of millionaire celebrities
Thanks.
in their palatial estates singing Imagine by John Lennon.
Right. Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's just
That's
what we
really
need right
funny.
now.
Yeah.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try.
No hell below us.
Above us only sky.
Imagine all the people
Living for today. Yeah.
How about instead of imagine you each donating $1 million?
Right.
Imagine
help
that.
out, man. Help the poor out, man.
So, Lo, you think that everyone eventually, within a year, it's just going to go back to normal. Now, I'm wondering things like, Do you think some things changed? Because already the handshake was starting to kind of fade, and people were doing a lot of fist bumping and stuff like that.
I'm doing the elbow
and
now.
the elbows.
I'm not even doing the fist.
But my question is, does that linger? Does that or even stick around? Because I think this is going to freak a lot of people out, especially if we're all locked in our houses for like a month or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the fist bump elbow thing could last longer. You know, and it all depends, too. It all depends if they come up with a vaccine within a year or even if they just come up with some sort of treatment.
Yeah.
To say, you know, like when you get the flu, you can take Tamiflu. Well, if you get coronavirus, you could take whatever, this drug.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they come up with something like that, I think that will completely ease the fears and we'll get to normal much quicker.
Yeah.
And, you know, they don't know if this is just a one and done either. They don't know if this is like just happening now and then it'll go away or what the situation is. So
do you guys ever just, now Lowell, again, you're kind of like business as usual ish, but I don't know about you guys, but there are moments at least once a day where I just stop and I'm like, I can't believe what we're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole world now, I'm not trying to downplay it when I say this. I'm really not. But the whole world is like on a snow day, you know, or week or 2 weeks or whatever.
Month, yeah.
When has it ever been that almost the entire world has shut down? It's insane. It's mind-blowing.
This is the worst it's ever been for
us. And it'll be interesting to see. I know this is horrible, but I'm curious to see, though, when this is all said and done and they have the final numbers, if it was correct that compare these numbers to the flu or whatever and see how similar they are once all the data is in, not like because a lot of things that are happening right now, and this is all the misinformation, especially on social media, where they're comparing the death rates so far.
Yeah.
But they only have they have a much smaller number of known cases.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if they find out in the end, well, yeah, there were tens of millions of cases, but this many people died. Yeah. And then they could be like, oh, yeah, it's the same as the flu.
Right.
Then nobody will give a shit.
But it won't be. I mean, the number of deaths have got to be higher because currently there's no treatment or cure for it. So coronavirus is going to win out in those numbers. But I think
probably. Yeah. I mean, and again, I don't know. I mean,
but I think you're right. I mean, it's just another flu. It's just that it's one that we haven't figured out how to deal with yet.
Right. And I bet you they will. I bet, of course, because it's like that coronavirus strain, I bet you they'll come up with a vaccine or a treatment much sooner than is being reported, because I've talked to a number of different scientists who are like, you know, they know what the protein is, and if you know what the protein is, then figuring out how to control it is a lot easier. If they didn't know what the protein was, this would be a lot harder, but they know what it is. So, you know, they were talking over my head, but I was trying to get the gist of what they were saying. And I've had a couple of them tell me, like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a vaccine within the next 3 to 4 months. And I
especially
said,
because the entire world is working on it.
Yeah.
Like, it's waking everyone up to the fact that we are one globe, you know, that when not taken care of, shit can get real, you know.
And there's so many like doomsdayer panic people that are trying to like stoke the flames of fear. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if these posts are put out by Russia or North Korea or like stuff like that, just like they did with the election. Like, I think that there's definitely a lot of that going on, trying to cause panic in the U.S. and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's one individual, I think, that has actually benefited in some ways from the coronavirus and the pandemic.
Who's that?
It's the guy.
The guy. Which guy?
It's the guy that we've been texting back and forth pictures of quite often.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
There's a guy who is...
Yeah.
There's this picture that's been going around. I'm sure our listeners, some of you have seen this and received this. Jonah, I would be shocked if you haven't yet. But
send it to me.
Oh, Lowell, you want to send him one as I explain?
Yeah.
Or just hold it up to the screen. I don't care.
Yeah, or just show Jonah. The way it started was it was like a headline that, you know, New York City shuts down subway system, and there's a link to see the news story, and you click it, and it's a guy, a very large guy who is extremely well endowed.
I'll see if I can find him the one where you click. It's the clickbait.
Yeah. But there are so many different versions now of this picture of this guy. But your sister, Lowell, sent me an article that apparently he's actually deceased, so he's not even getting to enjoy this fame that he has.
Right, exactly. But I don't know if he would. Yeah, I'm going to send it to Jonah.
Good to know everyone's keeping in important topics during this very
and
serious time.
I sent it.
Right, so Lowell sends it, and it's a picture of Trump, and it says, breaking, Donald Trump tests positive for coronavirus.
Am I going to get a virus?
No.
All right.
No.
So click it.
I did. Oh, my God.
Ripped out bone.
It's like looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the black,
that's
I'm
a
white.
that's
but,
a that's a Marty Burger joke.
Yeah, that is your dad to a
That's
T.
your dad to a T. It's like looking in the mirror, Jay.
All right, I want to.
Hold on. It was going. I want to. That was so funny. Oh, shit. That's literally what it sounded like. You're like, I hope somehow you have that audio, but I don't know if you do.
I'm so happy Lowell heard it too.
That's all, folks.
I couldn't take you seriously. Okay,
I guess
sorry
that was
now.
that must have been a Skype thing.
Yeah, it's because I clicked on the giant dong picture.
That's right.
Yeah,
why.
now it's
Virus.
yeah.
Okay, I wanted to just do two little things with you guys because there are two stories I feel like you both should know individually here because you've shared them with me. First, well, actually, Lowell, your wife shared this with mine, and she told me apparently Sloane has been a little klepto at the house lately.
Oh yeah, she's been stealing and hiding things.
Just like the adults of the world. Hoarding.
Yeah, and thinking it's hilarious.
So she knows what she's doing.
Oh yeah, she took Allie's ear pods and hid them so well. And we asked her if she knew where they were, and she's like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about."
She's 4, right?
Yeah, and hid them so well that Allie was just about to buy another pair. And then I was putting her in bed, and I felt the end of her bed, and there was like this hard, lumpy case down there, and like I pulled the sheets back, and there they were.
Wow. And so she's not even doing it to keep them for herself. She's just doing it as a prank.
As a prank. Yeah, pranks.
I love it.
Yeah.
Pranks a
all
lot.
kinds of pranks. Yeah.
So, Lowell, Jonah was in town recently, partially for his daughter's first birthday for the family to celebrate, and partially because Jonah's parents sold their house and moved.
Oh yeah, where did they move to?
Right up the road.
But here's the funny thing. So I went and saw for Amelia's birthday. I went and saw, and he had the whole family at his sister's house there. And I think this is where it was, where you told me it was either there or when I came by to see their house and helped you guys a little bit, unpack a little bit. But at one point, I'm with a lot of Jonah's family, and Jonah reveals to me that he has told them the story of us when we were home from college and you broke the bench in the kitchen.
Oh, who broke the bench?
Well, that's the interesting point, is that I couldn't remember who did, but I think I remember it being Marc that broke the bench. But as I was telling the story, I think it was Lowell's reaction to what Marc was doing that broke the bench.
I don't remember. I remember the bench breaking, but I don't remember who broke the bench.
Well, allow me.
But here's the thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Before you do, because we're going to tell this story, and some of our old listeners longtime listeners will remember this. This is the thing. He tells this story to a lot of his family members. Everybody's going to understand.
I do.
I am
Wait,
embarrassed.
you told him the full story.
No.
The full story.
This is how the story grows. All I told were my parents and Megan, because we were having dinner the night before at that table where that old table used to be. The new table was now, obviously. But it was the last night we were having our last meal at Hurley Avenue, man, before we were going to leave forever after 33 years. And we were talking about their current table, and I was like, "Do you remember the old table with the benches?" And Mom goes, "Yeah." yeah, I remember it well. And then it hits me why we had to get a new table. And I started laughing. And they're like, what are you laughing about? I was like, nothing. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're older now. We're about to leave the house. It's time you knew. And so I told them the tale, just them, not the entire relatives.
Why don't you tell the tale? We might as well tell it as we sign off here.
Yeah.
It was as simple as the three of us were hanging out in the kitchen, I think, and my parents were not there. And Mark decides to go on the back porch and take his nuts out of his jeans and like unzip like he was taking a pee and just hang his nuts out. And then he came back into the kitchen. And we were just hanging out, totally normal. Everything's fine.
You guys had no idea.
No idea. And I noticed it first, and I don't know how, but I kept it under control. And I was like, oh my God, wait till Lowell sees this.
I think the problem was, I think the big thing was also I think I was... I think I was perhaps resting them on the bench.
Well,
exactly. That's the part that I was waiting for. Yes. Because that's why we went berserk. Because when I first saw them, they were not just hanging out of his pants; they were resting on top of the bench.
And Mark's in the middle of talking like we're just normal. Like, hey, what do you guys want to do later on?
Right,
like, normal, and his nards are resting on the bench.
And when I finally noticed it, I was laughing so hard I could not catch my breath.
Lowell threw himself down out of like gasping for air over the back of that very bench and literally broke the back off the bench.
Yes. So thank you for telling your parents that story. I really appreciate it.
But did you tell them that he put his nards on the bench?
No, that part I
left
off.
that part out. Yeah.
And the worst part is that Mark put his balls on the table.
So you're telling me when we sat at the table all those years, he put his nuts on the chair where I sit?
On my side. That was actually my mom's side.
Oh.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, that will do it for the Mark and Lowell Show. Please go to Facebook, go to Twitter, friend and follow us over there. And if you need that information or any other information, Mark and Lowell, just go to markandlowell.com.
And if you want to get me on all the social medias and Twitter, I just unlocked a pork roast.
And a big thanks to Jonah Berger.
Hey, if you want to get me on www.marksballsaballsaballsaballsaball.com. Yeah.
And a big shout out to Buzz Burbank, RJ Diaz, Aaron Lamb, and everybody else who helps us with this show. For Lowell Melser, I'm Mark Ronick. We will see you next time on the Mark and Lowell Show.
Bye-bye.
All right, I'll upload it.
All right, but wait, hold on. I think I might do this at the beginning of the show. If not, I'll do it at the egg.
Okay.
Well, I'll wait till you finish that.
All right.
So, I've been thinking, and I think we've been talking a lot about how the coronavirus, how at the end of all of this, at least my hope, and I feel like you've said this too, is that we come out better for it, just as a society, I was thinking a lot about that for a few days, and then I came across this writing by this woman, Kitty O'Mara. I have no idea who she is. It just started circulating on the internet.
Okay.
The way I interpret it, it's like written by a historian or somebody from the future looking back and telling the story of the coronavirus, the aftermath kind of thing. I really like what it has to say, so I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
Actually, where I heard this originally was Deepak Chopra. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed.